Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Huddle on Wednesdays. So Tuesday night is soccer night. Tara, last night, you know what this is like. Went to the soccer fields and watched practice. And my little guy finished and I was like, oh, how was practice? He was like, it was fine. He said, I don't play it because I like it. I was like, what? He goes, no, I just do it for kicks. Okay.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Thank you.
Use that on a Wednesday morning daily.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesdays, where Tara and I get to dive into all topics related to relationships and communication. We've got a fun, juicy one for you today. But before we get started, Sorrel, I know you have to leave us shortly, so I want to start with you. How are you and what are you grateful for?
I am fantastic, and I'm grateful for airplanes.
Me too. That brings people that are far away closer, and I love that.
On an 11-hour flight, I found myself going, I hope they check the fuel gauge.
And luckily, all of that's calculated in. Yeah. Nice. Thank you, Sorrel. Tara, I want to ask you something. What time is it?
Oh, what time is it? The time is now, the only time that matters.
That's right. It is. And our esteemed guest, you get the next one. Where are you and who are you going to hug, Giovanni?
I am here. I'm still here. And I'm going to hug a flight attendant and Sorrel.
Yay, I love it. Why not?
Why not?
Lucky people. Awesome. Okay. Well, I know, Tara, you are so excited about this today. I'm going to turn it right over to you and let you get us started. And I can't wait to hear. I don't even know what's in store for us today. So I'm excited too.
Oh, good. I'm glad I get to bring you a little touch of a surprise. So I am over the moon excited about our guest that everyone knows on this call, I would imagine, Giovanni Gonzalez. We had a little communication a couple weeks ago that inspired this conversation. And the question is, and I asked him to speak to this question is, as a leader, how can we be both strong and vulnerable? How can we do that? And Giovanni modeled that probably unknowingly a few weeks ago. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his background and give you the backstory to what inspired this question. And then I'm going to turn it over to Giovanni. So let's talk a little bit about Giovanni and his mad success as a leadership authority. He is an authority on leadership development and an expert on building high performance teams. Giovanni Gonzalez is the founder and CEO of Mindful Performance Blueprint and the creator of the 3-day leadership course, Access the Leader Within. For over 12 years, Gio has mentored business leaders, community leaders, and entrepreneurs to elevate their ability to positively influence others and build high-performing teams. His work has ranged from working with companies that have 20,000 plus employees on how to create a high-performance culture to working with startups committed to making a difference and leaving a legacy. Gio has helped dozens of entrepreneurs and business leaders grow from 5 figures to 6 figures, from 6 figures to 7 figures, and many companies double and triple their revenues by accessing and leveraging the talent pool they already have within their teams. How cool is that? Gio has a bachelor's degree in international business and a master's in the science of management and leadership. I could say more about Gio, but that's just kind of, I think, the spreadsheet of his mad success. So in my experience, and Catherine, tell me if you agree with this statement. Oftentimes when people achieve success, there's a little bit of a message behind them that says, you know, I've already got things figured out. I'm done learning. Do you ever experience that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there is a place where we can get to where it's the opposite of beginner's mind, where we stop being as curious and we think we know something or yes.
Right. We just forget to quit learning. So a few weeks ago, I sent out one of my blogs, and I'm going to read just a tiny snippet of it, and then I'm going to share the communication that I had with Giovanni, and then I'm going to turn it over to him because that's what inspired this conversation. So the name of the blog was Grocery Store Tomatoes, and here's just a little part of it. Words like great, awesome, and fun are what I call grocery store tomatoes. They are tasteless. They are functional, but they don't affect you. They don't make you feel or taste or stir. Just imagine a world where we do not accept grocery store tomatoes. Imagine a world where we choose words that spring off our tongue like ripe rubies and land like juicy treasures. Today's Talk to the Brain tip is don't settle for grocery store tomatoes. Refrain from spouting off comments like good job, well done, or nice work. Those are lazy compliments that lack flavor and meaning. Next time you want to toss out a generic attaboy like great work, take a minute. First, ask yourself, why is it great? Turn great work into a celebration of talent, commitment, tenacity, or courage. And if you want to elevate confidence, don't simply applaud the achievement, praise the effort. When our positive feedback is unique, specific, and focused on effort, we elevate courage, confidence, and connection. And then the blog goes on to give some real solid examples of exactly how to do this. But what I want to share with you all this morning is I got a voice memo from Giovanni. And I would love to play it for you, but I'm worried about the sound, so I'm just going to take some snippets out of it. But the voice memo said, he said, I was going to email you about people tolerating tomatoes. And he's like, I have to respond. This is great work. And then he says, but then I thought, no, those are rotten tomatoes. And then Giovanni said this to me. He said, I wanted to tell you about the impact that this email had on me and my leadership. He said that he realized how many opportunities he has to create powerful bonds with people that matter to him in his life. Giovanni said that, when I dismantle, listen to this, so brilliant. He said, when I dismantle what's behind my emotions, when I say to someone, great work, I create deeper bonds. So then he goes on to say that he has been, since he read my blog, he has been acknowledging his team in a completely different way. He says it has uplifted our bond and because of your email. And then he says, phenomenal, incredible. It was really great work. So as you can tell, that message just delighted me. And I will share this voice memo with anybody who wants to hear it, because I would imagine it will delight you too. But the big thing that came through, Gio, is that beautiful, learning, vulnerable spirit. So tell us, how do you keep that alive?
Tara, thank you, Catherine. I am blushing, and it's just what an introduction. And thank you for capturing the entire experience for me when I got your email, and then for us as we kind of played with that voicemail. My background, my life journey helps a little bit with connecting with the power of vulnerability, and also it allows me to reflect with what I like to call the inauthenticity that power has, or the illusion, rather say, the illusion that power has on someone. When I was going through the journey of losing everything I had built up until I was 28, I had already built real estate, and I had already built some sort of a professional career, and I had already built a company. And after my skydiving accident, I lost all of that in a matter of months. And as I was losing all of it, I discovered that the biggest depression I had, or the anxiety and depression I went through, was mostly because I had built a self, I had built an identity on the things I had achieved. But I didn't know that at the time, because I wasn't just losing my house or my couches or my cars. I wasn't losing that. That wasn't the big deal. I was losing who I had become for myself. And I no longer want to associate with the things I collect or the triumphs I have. I don't want myself to associate with that. I want to disabuse myself of victories, if you will, as much as a failure. And so that has spinned off, that experience of my life spinned off a kind of a spiritual growth inside of professional growth. And so now the way I find a way to practice that is that I, in some degree, measure my success in some way in the depthness of my relationships. And so when you send that email, and it uplifted me. I mean, it gave me a new world to come from with my team and my clients and everybody I care about. And I was like, man, I want to give this back. And I want to share with Tara what I'm getting from this. And so that's a little bit, I guess, that gives some context for where vulnerability comes from.
Okay, I think as I listen to you share this, I wonder if being vulnerable is something that you've kind of built over time, or was it just that one accident that you think really transformed you? And I want to give some context around my question. I think the reason why I asked this is, as leaders, I think we're like, oh, I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm always studying neuroscience. So I'm perfectly happy to say that I don't know about gardening. But when someone comes at me with communication and neuroscience, I have to remind my ego still to sit down and listen. Do you experience that, or you just have this figured out?
No, what I really treasure a lot, small increment growth for myself. And one of the things that give me access to small increment growth is to discover where I'm wrong. And one of the things that I love saying lately is, oh man, I love it when I'm wrong, because there's only the illusion of knowing something for me. Of anything, I have devoted my entire life to a particular subject, right? Leadership and communication and creating teams. But all the time, I find myself learning something new. And so now the evidence is overwhelming. I really know very little of what I know. And so I do remind myself constantly. And then there's no joy in my life. There has been no joy in my life to sit at a seminar or anywhere where I allow myself to think I know more than the other person. There's no joy in there. There's no power there. Where the power is when I really sit down and kind of call out on myself. Like, you're full of it. You're full of it to think you know. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I really liked by hanging out with Sorrel also is that when he shares himself, he never says, I know this. Oh, well, I know this, or because I do this, or because I understand this, or because I had this victory, this triumph. And he never shares that way. And I noticed that I always used to do that. Oh yeah, I learned that 5 years ago when I went through that. And I used to do that all the time. And I left people sort of disempowered in their sharing around me because I had to know more.
Oh, because you're like, oh, I know. I've learned that too.
I've learned that too. And it took me a while to see how I was leaving people. And I didn't like that. So anyway, that's a little bit of a mix of everything there.
This is golden, I think, because you're really going deep into what vulnerability means to you. It's thrown around so often right now. I have so many notes already. But let me ask you this one. If you remain so committed to, you said you have discovered that you really know very little about what you know. How can you show up for a room full of 1,500 people and not feel that imposter syndrome? Like, I'm full of it. Like, how do you have the confidence that you can help them to grow and still remain that vulnerable and to say you have so much more to learn? It's hard, isn't it?
It's very difficult. And over time, it gets a little bit easier. the what's this? Malcolm Gladwell says you got to practice something from 10,000 hours to start feeling, to start becoming the field, to be an expert in your field. So I don't know if I have 10,000 hours in being in front of the room, but it's been a while. It's been over 15 years being in front of the room with thousands of people. So I do now at this point, when I get in front of a room, I do connect with something else other than what of the survival of looking good, of becoming an expert. I don't connect with that. That's a dreadful burden to try to be an expert. What I do connect is what do people care about? And I know that they care about their families. I know that they care about growth. I know that they care about legacy. And so I connect with that. And I do in our team, we do something called a clearing. So before I get on stage, I call Sorrel and say, okay, man, here's what I'm dealing with. Or I call Mariela, or I call Liz, or I call anybody from my team. Say, okay, here's what I'm dealing with. And I just kind of disabuse myself from the ego stuff. I want to look good. I want to make sure I sell something. I want that out of my system. And then I connect with what do people care about? And that's what I connect to. And I lead to that. And then I know some people will like me and some people will not. And many will be kind of excited that they were there. And so I'm okay with all of that. I allow for that. Yeah.
So I can imagine myself learning to model what you are proposing in a lot of situations, but sometimes we are approached by people, and I'd love to know how you handle this. They have that spirit of competitiveness of, here I am, I know all the things, and they bring that energy to your conversation. How do you respond to someone who brings you that type of energy, that kind of, I know everything, and they're looking to compete with you?
I don't, the stage where I find somebody in front of me trying to compete with me are very, very few times I encounter that. If I am in front of a room leading a conversation, I'm really guiding a conversation for the opportunity of what we're looking at. And if someone says to me, yeah, but I don't believe you, I don't think you're right or in any direction or even rude, I don't try to change the person. I try to see what they're seeing because I want to know what are they looking at. So I start asking questions so that I can see what they're saying. And then sometimes I get to a place where they're just becoming devil's advocate. And so then it comes out, oh, you're just being a devil's advocate. I got it. Oh, okay, I got it. And then I say, no, I'm not trying to create a debate. I'm just trying to get you to see something and tell me what you think. There's no truth in what I say. And every now and then somebody's upset. And so then when that happens, I want to be responsible how I created an upset on somebody. And more often than not, people who are upset at the way I'm saying things, like I like cursing. I like cursing when I'm leading.
I know
right?
that about you.
So I get people upset, right? And so now I've become a little more responsible. I ask permission and stuff like that, and I'm responsible for how I leave people, and people get that. And every now and then I leave somebody incomplete, and they say, shitty things about me, and that's okay too. I mean, I got to include it all, and that's all right.
This is beautiful. I one more question, then Catherine wants to chime in. I can tell.
I do have a question.
All right, well, go ahead, but I want my
No, go.
So just what you said something in the beginning of this conversation, and let me see, you said, and I just want to know how you landed on this and why it is so. You said, I measure my success by the depth of my relationships. I've never wanted a tattoo until right now. How did you learn that to be true?
Well, I'm a student of philosophy in many ways.
Yes.
Right. So there is no point to life in many ways for me. I mean, I'm going to die at some point, and the whole thing is going to be a game, and hopefully I'm going to make a difference. Hopefully it will leave some ideas that make a difference. And I really mean, I hope I do. So life has become for me a little bit of a game. The game of business is more of a game. But the relationship aspect is something that enlivens and my experience of life at that very moment. You know, at that very moment, I'm alive, and I know I can count on having a great experience of my life when my relationships are deepened. And so that's where I measure my success. And if it happens again that I lose it all over again, if I lose everything, relationships don't go away when they're real. And
Mm,
so that's kind of how I see it.
thank you. Beautiful. All right, Catherine, talk to us.
Well, now my question changed based on what you just said, but I love what you said. I was hugging my son this morning when he woke up, and I really got present in that moment and felt exactly what you're describing. Like, this is it. I always think, oh, I wish I could hug him, or oh, what if when he grows up and goes away? But like in that moment of hugging him, like that is the moment, right? And so I love that you're saying that and bringing us back to presence. And I'm curious because I imagine, I'm going to make up that you're human and that you fall off of this beautiful place where you're, getting rid of all the ego and you're being really present. Like, how do you know when you're off track from this value system, and what do you do to get back on track?
Yeah. I don't know if I get rid of ego any time. I am
Yeah.
I am as a jerk as it gets. But the thing that allows me to enjoy this thing being alive is that the moments I fell off the wagon, whenever I say the wrong thing, whenever I mess up, that's my greatest opportunity to discover relationship, to discover something, for me to explore something that would connect me with the person I messed up. Those are the greatest moments for me. And so of course it takes something. Of course I'm full of ego for, all of that. Of course I sweat when I have to apologize. But I really make an effort to discover, to notice, to observe, what is it that I'm attached? Because anytime I'm upset, I'm attached to something. And I really want to know, what did I just get attached to? And it's always a personal thing. So when I discover it, I want to share it with that person. And more often than not, that strengthens the relationship. If I mess up with you, Catherine, and whatever, I mess up with you, and then I want to go apologize, and I tell you, I call myself out. I got attached to this, but it had nothing to do with you. More often than not, you bring compassion, and it gets us closer, if you will. So I'm constantly noticing, if you will, my ego. I'm constantly noticing it so I can drop it and I can create. But it's always happening every day. I'm noticing, dropping, and create, noticing all the time. And I don't live in a beautiful state. I
love that.
notice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's recovering, right? It's like noticing and then coming to where you want to be. But I thank you for sharing that, because I love that about the attachment, because I think you're so right. It's like whenever we're angry at somebody else, it's usually something within us that's creating that anger. And so I'm going to take that and look at that for myself. What am I attached to that I can let go of?
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. I'm going to definitely offer any questions or comments. People pop your hand up or chime in, but we'll just keep this beautiful conversation going. My questions are becoming jumbled. I'm not being the best interviewer right now because my heart is exploding. I just am so grateful for your sharing in such an authentic way. Was there a time that you can kind of think back to when you were even more of a jerk? Meaning, if someone aspires to learn what you've learned, how would you guide them?
Yeah, I think I was at a workshop in London, and this was something that kind of got me to see my jerkness. The instructor was leading the conversation, and someone from the audience said, "I'm," he said, I'm a nice person. Why are you treating me like there's something wrong with me? Like I'm a jerk or something. I have to discover that I am a jerk." And then the instructor said, "I think the worst jerks in the world are the ones that don't know that they are." And I saw myself there. I had created a mask for myself of being a nice person. Everywhere, this nice person. I created this mask of being a nice person. And as I started interviewing the people around me, and I really highly recommend one does that. I started interviewing people around me to see what was the impact of my life to them. Because more often than not, people don't ask themselves, what is it like to date me? You know, I know what it's like to date my significant other, but what is it like to date me? And I started discovering, man, it's kind of hard to date me. I'm kind of a jerk. I dismiss people. I think I'm all this. And so, um, I disabuse myself from the notion of being a nice person. It's just the worst people in the world are the ones that they think that they're not jerks. And that's how it's not true what I just said, but that's how I see it for myself. Right. And so that leaves me light.
Yeah, it sounds freeing. Like you're no
it
longer
leaves me
having to
light.
worry about it.
No, I don't have to worry about it. One of the human beings that I love the most is my daughter. And I have a beautiful relationship with her at this point, and I hope I always keep it that way. But I do train her to deal with all of it, deal with my jerkness, with the guy who's loud and spits and does and curses. I do train her to deal with that monster, if you will. And I also train her to discover the teddy bear inside of all of us. Because it's the balance that's kind of cool for me. Anyway.
Oh, that is really empowering. I think Chase has a comment or a question for us.
Hey, everybody. What fascinates me about you, Gio, is that every other conversation or every conversation, I hear you say, well, I'm a jerk. I mean, well, because I'm just a jerk. And I wonder where that comes from. I don't see you as a jerk at all, not even 3%. But I wonder why that keeps echoing in your mind and how that manifests in things that you do, because I don't think you have to say that.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I'm going to be watching that because I don't want to be saying that all the time. But what I am committed, though, is that I don't want to be seen as a good or nice human being. I don't want to be seen that way because people more often than not have found the people put people in pedestals, and that kills them. So I don't want to be put in any pedestal. I want to be the regular guy who's committed to making a difference, and he makes mistakes all the time. I want to be seen that way. I don't want to be put in a pedestal. And also, I mess up all the time. So so I am known for cleaning up my messes often. That's for sure. Thank you, Chase. I'm going to be watching that, though. I don't want to be just creating that everywhere.
I think the spirit that I take it, and I appreciate that he brings that up because it could be like this kind of, insecure commenting about yourself. But to me, it's a little bit humorous and it's a little bit, I'm staying humble.
Yeah, a little bit of all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Do you have any last words for us?
For me?
Yes.
Oh, here's the thing that I've been saying lately, and I really like it. Here's the thing I've been discovering for myself. I want to be a little bit more crazy every day and to lose my memory a little bit every day. A little more crazy to try out the things I never thought were possible. And every day lose a little bit of my memory to forget my failures and forget the things I get attached to. So a little bit of craziness and a little bit of short-term memory is the key to a high quality of life.
I love that. Thank you so much. I know we're right at 9:30, but listening to all this vulnerability and all this determination to continue growing, how do you answer this last question? Sorry. If you're so much in growth mode, you're so vulnerable, you're so humble, why do people hire you?
Humble will be the question. I wouldn't say I'm humble, but let's see. People hire me because they lose a lot of money not knowing how to lead others. And so they often create an environment where people are rowing in different directions, and that creates chaos inside of organizations. So they often, more often than not, people hire me so that they can stop losing money and also at the same time create an environment aligned with their mission and with their purpose. And that's why people hire me.
Beautiful. Wow. So beautifully said.
Thanks, Gia. This has been fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very inspiring. I have so many cool notes. I'm probably going to watch this again. So I'm so grateful to you. You're in the airport, came on as our guest. And I would imagine you've inspired a lot of people this morning. So let's close out with our tenets, and we will lead with love. As always, it feels to me that that is exactly what you do. So I thank you for that spirit. And also remember to be generous, to give. You've certainly been generous this morning, and we're really, really grateful, Gio. And you always make me laugh, which gets those endorphins flying. So remember to not take life too seriously. Throw your head back and laugh. And that will help you to do what? To stress less and to get better sleep, which allows us to heal and repair, and to eat more plants, which fuels our body so that we may move our body. Don't forget to move. Thank you all. See you tomorrow on the Daily Huddle.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gio.
Thank you. Excellent job. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Of course.